We are at the 1 year celebration of the MK Pod. We're having conversations with some of the leaders, members, role players in the party. And now I have the privilege of having a conversation with, at one point, some of the leaders in the country and a significant person of influence in our country right now. Advocate Mrs. How are you doing that?
I'm good, and excited.
I'm sure. Yes. How are you feeling at this 1 year mark?
So excited. Everything has been built. The 1 year had all the challenges, but it's good that we are celebrating 1 year. 12 months is a lot. I mean, yeah. We are happy.
Not the same way having been through a lot. You yourself have been through a lot. Can you, before we get into that, can you tell us a little bit about what the public protector does? What is your full mandate for the average person, the everyday person? What is it that you have done in that company?
The health protector is an institutional institution. It's provided in the international institution. It's the public protector, the auditor general, the IEC, NASA, Gender Commission, Human Rights Commission, and CIR Commission for Religious and Disease. So the goal of this institution is to strengthen institutional democracy. So the role of the public protector is focused on good governance and to investigate for good conduct in state affairs. And when you say state you are a public servant, you are involved in bribery, enriching yourself. And this institution as well, it's one of the few in the world which also investigates the executive, meaning the president, the ministers, right, in terms of the executive members ethics act. So it's only the public protector who can do that.
Those are, I can't imagine filling those massive shoes. And so essentially, and when you said failure to implement service delivery, I'm sure lots of people's ears perked up and be like, okay, you're responsible for making sure that the state provides the services it's supposed to provide. And obviously, this has gotten you into some hot water.
That actually not only the issues of, yes, if you are efficient as a black professional in this country, you can take all the black professionals who've excelled in what they are doing, making sure that they change the lives of South Africans. I then faced challenges, but the biggest challenge which I was faced with was the issue of the conduct failure, especially investigating under the Executive Members Ethics Act, because now that then puts one directly in the political space, because then you are accused of playing politics. Remember, if you investigate the president, or the late Pravin Gordhan, the Malusi Gigaba, the Ace Makashule, and all those. So then that is the challenge, the biggest challenge. But what brought me into this, somebody was saying career suicide, was the investigation of the CX matter, which my predecessor took for 6 years, not finalizing it. And I then found that investigation, and it was involving the Reserve Bank. And now that was the biggest challenge which I had to face. Yeah, then because I had to finalize that investigation, why the state has spent 600,000 euros to employ CX to check how can we, recoup all the looting which was done by the apartheid when it was the change of government, because then we were checking where was that money spent properly, why there was no delivery, like value for money basically. Yeah. Now it was also involving the behavior and the conduct of Reserve Bank. Now in the world you don't touch the Reserve Bank.
Right.
And whereas in South Africa, the people who drafted the constitution, they put us in such a quagmire because in their countries, our UK and US, the mandate of the Reserve Bank is not in the constitution. It's in the legislation. You go to Australia, when they're facing unemployment challenges, they can change the legislation quicker to deal with the challenges. South
Okay.
Africa, they make sure they put it in the constitution, and
The
they say
mandate of the
it's
Reserve Bank.
sacrosanct, the
Okay.
mandate, and you don't touch it. You only need 2/3 majority. Same applies with the issue of the land. Now I touched that, and my life was never the same again.
I wish we had so much more time,
Yeah.
and we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But you've gone from one significantly brutal environment or sphere in this country to another one, that being politics, which you to some extent were already in, but now you are more in the political side of it rather than working on the state side.
You know, at first I was saying, no, I'm operating in a political space as a public protector. And I was saying, you know what, actually I'm a technocrat and whatever. But now it's more, I realize that anything is political. Because I was telling somebody that you can't come as a young person or as an old person or as a church person or as a professional and say, no, I'm not interested in politics. You can't come as a magistrate, a prosecutor, a judge. Because politics, you operate within a political space. Price of bread is politics. The fact that you don't get an increment as a magistrate and you're working in horrible environment is politics. The fact that Wheatbank, they close the mines and then your families are unemployed, how many it replicates and affects is politics. So I found myself saying, you know what, yes, I'm this technocrat, but I think then I can contribute more in the political space. And I like it because it's more influential. You can then engage in all aspects. As a public protector, I was only focusing on state affairs because public protector doesn't have mandate to investigate court judgments.
Okay.
We can't investigate private individuals and private companies unless state resources are involved.
Okay.
So this one, I can then cut across because in politics, serving in parliament, you have that voice, at least for the voiceless. And now being the convener of Mpumalanga, you work with the masses, and of which is I've been doing that throughout my life.
What's it like having that one-on-one connection with the masses now, rather than via an office? What's that experience like for you?
You know, you'll be surprised that people will think being a public protector, because as a public protector, one of the criteria and the qualities you need is a people's person.
Okay.
I used to do a lot of road shows as a public protector. Go and call the communities, engage the communities, listen to their challenges, take them, we investigate and we intervene, meet with the royal chiefs, queens, and the impact of the rural areas to the issues of service delivery, how we can work with them. So now into politics, it was the first time, yes, doing door-to-door when I was with EFF. And that's a seamless thing because you then go deep there, you engage with people in their houses, and then you check how you can resolve their challenges.
Okay.
So for me, it was easy to just merge in that space.
So just before we call it a day, what is one thing you would want the public to know about what they can do and the avenues they can pursue in reaching socioeconomic justice, maybe even in particular through the Public Protector's Office or through the work that you do in the party? What's one message you would want to give the public there?
The message I'll give to the people is that you have all these constitutional institutions which are there, their services are free. You have a complaint with your ID, with your birth certificate, the public protector is there. Water challenges, the behavior, especially members of parliament, they are not using it that much. Well, during my tenure, you'd find DA, EFF, because members of the provincial legislature, members of parliament of MK, they should also then be inducted in the Executive Members Ethics Act, because you can't have a minister lying, a minister being involved in corruption. They should be behaving in a certain way as the Constitution is saying. But then as members of parliament, legislature, as politicians, conveners, coordinators of Mkhonto Wesizwe, when we are on the ground, let's escalate, let's intervene on behalf of the people, because you find that they don't even have knowledge. But then just to make a call on their behalf, to write letters on their behalf. That is what we should be doing. But they must also know that they can be their own liberators, because that's what I was promoting, that people stand up for your rights. We cannot be in a situation where the country is burning, but people are continuing as if nothing is happening, because your right to protest is still there in the Constitution.
Right.
It's provided for. Your right to lodge a complaint, submit petitions. You have AMA speakers in the provincial legislature, in the municipalities, which can be used to just be vocal. Don't keep quiet with the country being terribly affected. So members of MK, we should be occupying those spaces and help our communities and be visible, preparing for 2026, which we should be winning. We managed to get, 14% in less than 6 months?
6 months.
So now we have the whole year next year.
No pressure.
No. There is pressure. We don't have time.
it's so
We should
sarcastic.
start next month,
Yeah.
to make sure that we take all those municipalities. And it's possible. But I'm saying to young people, spend more of your time in defending this movement and defending your communities. You can do that by what? Involve yourself. Be party agents. When we need you, come, let's train you, work, volunteer your service. That's all what we need. Let's guard our votes. Let's not see what's happened in 2024 repeating itself. Yeah.
Advocate Busisiwe
Thank
Mkhwebane,
you.
thank you very much for your time. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for joining us on this 1-year anniversary celebration.
Yes.
Watch the rest of the videos, get to know some of the members in the party, some of the MPs, the officials, the people working here and doing what they can and what they should be doing with your votes. Thank you once again for joining us on the celebration. See you all soon.